Everyone who played Gen 2 for the first time knows about Whitney and her infamous Miltank, and how much of a pain it is to deal with that early on into the game. While I myself haven't had much trouble with it as of yet, I am aware of how annoying she can be, so much so that it has caused countless amounts of rage across the internet. This video is for all of you who have suffered at the hands of these two. So today, we're going to give Whitney an actual reason to cry and defeat her and the rest of Johto using only a single Miltank. Stats wise, Miltank is fairly beefy. It has good defense, attack, and speed. Also, that base 100 speed is really funny to me because it means that Miltank is actually faster than Rayquaza. Yes, this dumb cartoon cow is faster than the dragon that rules the sky. You all know the rules already. I'll only use Miltank in battle whilst catching other Pokemon to use HMs, and I can't use items in battle unless they're held items. I'm predicting that this is probably going to be a fairly easy run. Make your guesses in the comments at what level you think I can beat this game at. So I start the game and name my character Lightyear. Get the reference? Tell me and everyone else where it's from and you'll get a shout out next time. For this run, I made sure that my rival would have Totodile as his Pokemon. Typhlosion is usually the hardest to battle, but since we get the super effective rollout by level up, I figured Feraligatr would be a little tougher. After giving my cow an appropriate nickname, I take on my rival. He was a total breeze. His scratch was a critical hit, but it did hardly anything. I'm predicting that the early game will be something of a steamroll until a bit later on. By the time we get to Faulkner, we're at level 12. As you might expect, he's really easy. For some reason, he didn't even try to use Mud Slap to ruin our accuracy. This led to us two-shotting both of his Pokemon. It's very rare that the first gym leader in Gen 2 isn't a breeze. Also, side note, why doesn't he have a Natu or Hutu on his team? Oh well, time to move on. In Azalea Town, I went straight after Bugsy. Hey look, another Johto gym leader with only Kanto Pokemon. And he isn't the last one either. What's up with that? Anyway, he was a complete cakewalk, as we managed to two-shot all of his Pokemon and leveled up to level 19 and learned Milk Drink. Now we have a reliable form of recovery, which is something we don't normally get in these runs. I went straight after the rival, without healing, and he was also really easy. His Ghastly could have messed me up with Hypnosis, but thankfully it didn't work, and so the fight was easy as pie. Alright, it's time for me to avenge all of you guys against Whitney. I went for rollout straight away against Clefairy, as it just hit a weak double slap. Because of this, my rollout was powered up quite a bit by the time her Miltank came out. She couldn't make us flinch with Stomp, and couldn't use Attract since both of our Pokemon are female. Needless to say, we bowled right over her and gave her an actual reason to cry for once. I took on my rival at the Burn Tower, but he was hardly worth bringing up. His only Pokemon to deal damage to us was his Magnemite. You might think that over-leveling early on would make the challenge too easy, but we are going to need every level we can get for the post-game battle with Red. Morty's Ghost Gym was interesting. Only one of his Pokemon can deal direct damage to me, but he still managed to nearly beat us. His second Pokemon hit us with Curse, putting me on a time limit. Because of that, I would have lost if his Gengar didn't miss Hypnosis. Due to the fact that you take Curse damage after you attack in Gen 2, I had to fully heal up in order to take out his final Haunter. I was grateful that rollout didn't miss, otherwise we would have gone down. Chuck's Fighting Gym is next. Primeape posed no threat at all and went down in one hit, but Poliwrath had me worried. My first attack did about 2/3 of its health, but then he landed Hypnosis and nailed me with Dynamic Punch, confusing my cow. Thankfully, we woke up on the very next turn and didn't hit ourselves in confusion. That just goes to show that while Miltank is really powerful early game, it isn't foolproof. I decided to tackle the Rocket Hideout and Price's Ice Gym next in order to get a few levels before taking on Jasmine. Seal and Dugong both went down in a single hit, and Piloswine missed his Blizzard and just healed with a Hyper Potion, allowing me to get 2 attacks in a row for a clean and easy victory. Time for Jasmine. This fight wasn't too difficult as we were able to one-shot the Magnemites. But as you expect, Steelix is a persistent bugger. I threw mud in his face to whittle him down and drop his accuracy as much as I could, but I decided to start using Return before fully dropping his accuracy. After he healed, I decided to see if Rollup would build enough power to take him out. But since it was 4 times resisted, it clearly wasn't enough, so I just finished him with more Return spam. The rival in the underground is next. We got all the way to his final Pokemon without taking any damage, and by the time we beat him, he'd hardly hurt us with a weak water gun. Funny how he thinks that he's going to be the one to take down Team Rocket, even though he keeps losing to someone he claims to be weak. We've got beef with Claire now, so let's take on the so-called greatest dragon trainer. She was just an easier version of Jasmine, and by that I mean that we one-shot the Dragoness with the power of friendship and two-shot Kingdra after Claire healed it with a hyper potion. Question: who do you think has a more inflated opinion of themselves, Claire or our rival? The rival fight before Victory Road actually took 2 attempts, since I forgot to get Earthquake before battling him, and thus I went down to a combo of paralysis and curse damage. The second time round was a one-shot sweep though. Let's take a look at our stats before we challenge the league. They're honestly not too bad, so I'm feeling fairly confident about this. Let's go! Psychic Trainer Will is first. It was a clean victory. Only one of his Pokemon survived more than one hit, and it just wasted time boosting its special defense. Poison Trainer Koga is second. He was virtually the same as Will. His only Pokemon that could survive more than one attack was his Forretress, who just wasted time with spikes and did minimal damage with Swift. Easy fight. Third is Fighting Trainer Bruno, and this one has potential to be dangerous. His Hitmonchan got a weak Mach Punch in, but Machamp hung on from our attack and did over half our health in damage with Cross Chop. Thankfully, Bruno used a Max Potion the next turn, and my second attack got a KO. He must have been in a damage range. His Onix also survived my first Earthquake, but even a critical hit from him barely did anything. Maybe I should do an Onix run at some point. Fourth is the Manager Karen. This one was easier than it should have been. Surprisingly, Umbreon didn't open with Sand Attack or Confuse Ray. Because of that, I was able to flatten her whole team whilst only suffering minimal damage. Finally, it's time for the Pokemon Champion, Lance the Dragon Trainer. This one ended up coming down to the wire. I was planning on using Rollout since all of his Pokemon are part Flying type and are weak to it, but his first Dragonite paralysed me with Thunder Wave, meaning that I couldn't rely on that move anymore. From there, I had to just spam Return. It did a decent enough job as it could two-shot most of his team, but the paralysis meant we ended up missing a few turns, and it also meant we ended up going second on the turns that we didn't miss. I was extremely grateful that I didn't miss out on any of my milk drinks. In the end, his final Dragonite brought us into red health and I had to take a chance on not being paralysed for the turn in order to get the win. Thankfully, it paid off. With that victory, the run is technically complete, but of course I'm not done yet, as we've got to attempt the secret final boss, Red. This does mean that I've got to traverse through all of Kanto first though, and all but one of the gym leaders are really easy, so I'll just cut straight to it. Blue, the 8th gym leader. This fight could have gone a lot worse. We started off critically hitting his opening Pokemon for a one-shot, and from there I was able to two-shot the rest of his team. He did stall us out with a few full restores and even set up a Leech Seed later on, but we weren't in any real danger. Despite how seemingly easy that was, I know Red isn't going to be. His team is a similar level to my Pokemon, and his team outnumbers us 6-1. Oh well, still worth a shot. On my way to him, I ran into a shiny Rattata. This is the first shiny that I found in one of these runs, and I'm not gonna lie, it looks pretty cool in this generation. I obviously caught it and moved on. Okay, check out this footage. On my first attempt, I got all the way to Charizard, just to get burned, weakening my attack to the point where I couldn't outmuscle him. On the next 2 attempts, Snorlax paralysed us with Body Slam, and continually stalled me out with Rest, and kept making me flinch with Snore. I didn't know that Snore could do that. I had 4 rare candies in my bag, so I used them and this seemed to be enough, as now I can two-shot Snorlax. I tried getting a rollout going against Venusaur, but my second one missed, so I just resorted to Return again. Charizard almost took me out with Flamethrower, which was boosted by Venusaur's Sunny Day, but thankfully I was able to finish him off without getting burned. Blastoise couldn't do much with the sun up, and by the time he decided to make it rain, it was too late. Well, that was a mostly easy run, but I don't think that'll come as a surprise to anyone. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed making it. It can be really fun to use a Pokemon that isn't really weak every so often. Even so, next week's Pokemon challenge will be Pokemon Fire Red with only a single Farfetch'd. That should be an interesting run for sure. As always, thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe and ring the brong song for more content. Hope to see you guys next time. Bye!